All right, let's be real. Keeping houseplants alive can be a struggle, especially if you don't get a ton of sunlight in your place. Maybe you've got a small apartment, north-facing windows, or just kinda forget to open the blinds. I get it. But here's the good news. There are plenty of plants that actually love the shade. Yeah, no direct sunlight, no problem. These guys are built for it. Today, we're breaking down 10 of the best low-light indoor plants. So whether you're a beginner, a forgetful waterer, or just want to add some green to your space without all the hassle, I got you covered. All right, let's get into it. Here are the top 10 houseplants that thrive in the dark. All right, first up, we've got the Chinese money plant. This little guy is crazy popular, and for good reason. It's got these round, coin-shaped leaves that look straight out of a design magazine. It's not just good-looking, though. This plant is super low maintenance and can handle way less light than you'd expect. Perfect for a desk, shelf, or even that corner where plants usually go to die. It does best in indirect light, but it can totally handle those darker spots. Just don't shove it in a closet or anything. Water it when the top inch of soil is dry. Basically, if you forget for a bit, it's not going to hold a grudge. Easy, stylish, and tough. What's not to love? Next up, we've got the Heartleaf Philodendron, aka one of the easiest plants to keep alive. If you want a plant that looks good but doesn't need a ton of babysitting, this is the one. It's got these super lush, deep green leaves that just spill over the edge of whatever you put it on. Bookshelves, plant hangers, you name it. This thing thrives in low light. I mean, yeah, it'll grow faster in bright, indirect light. But if your place is kind of dark, no problem. It'll still keep going. Watering? Super easy. Let the top inch of soil dry out, and boom, you're good. It even tells you when it's thirsty. Those leaves will droop a little, but once you water it, bam, back to life. Another cool thing? You can train it to climb or just let it hang loose. Either way, it makes your space look instantly better. Bottom line, this plant is basically unkillable. If you forget about it for a bit, it's totally chill. All right, let's talk about a plant that basically refuses to die, the Chinese Evergreen. If you've got a dark apartment and a habit of forgetting to water your plants, this one's for you. Not only does it love low light, but it also adds some serious color. Some varieties even have red or pink accents, which is kind of rare for a shade-loving plant. It doesn't care where you put it. Bright, shady, somewhere in between. This thing adapts. It's basically the survivalist of the houseplant world. Watering? Easy. Let the soil dry out a little between waterings. Too much water is the only thing that can mess it up. So if you're a chronic overwaterer, maybe chill a bit. It also likes a bit of humidity, so if your place gets dry in the winter, a quick misting here and there can help keep those leaves looking fresh. Bottom line, this plant can handle almost anything you throw at it. Low light? Check. Forgetful owner? Check. Still looking good? Always. All right, next up, the rubber plant. This one's a classic. It's got those big, shiny leaves that make any room look more put together, without needing a ton of light. This plant is super adaptable. It'll grow faster in brighter light, but if your space is on the darker side, no worries, it'll still thrive. See this? Low light, and it's totally fine. You just have to be patient. Growth slows down in the shade, but it stays healthy and happy. One thing to keep in mind, these leaves love to collect dust. A quick wipe down now and then keeps them looking glossy and helps the plant breathe better. Watering? Super easy. Let the top couple of inches dry out before you water again. It actually prefers being a little underwatered rather than too soggy. If you want a plant that looks expensive, grows tall, and can handle low light, this is the one. All right, let's mix things up with a plant that actually blooms in low light, the African violet. Yep, you don't need bright sunlight to get these little guys to flower. The leaves are super soft, almost fuzzy. And those flowers, they come in all kinds of colors, from deep purple to pink and even white. This one's perfect for apartments or offices where natural light is kinda meh. It does great under regular indoor lighting, like a lamp or even LED grow lights. Now, big tip here, don't water it from the top. These leaves hate getting wet. Just water from the bottom, let it soak up what it needs, and you're golden. It also likes to stay a little moist, but not soaked. Keep the soil damp, and you'll have happy flowers all year round. All right, let's talk about a plant that's tough as nails. Homalomena Selby. This one's perfect if you want that tropical vibe, but don't have tons of sunlight to work with. It kinda looks like a mix between a peace lily and a philodendron. But here's the cool part. It can handle super low light and still look this good. It does not need bright light. In fact, too much direct sun can actually burn the leaves. So, if your space is on the darker side, this one's a solid choice. Watering? Keep it simple. Let the top inch of soil dry out before watering again. Too much water is the only way you'll mess this one up. This plant is basically a set it and forget it kind of deal. Low light, low maintenance, and still looks amazing. Now this is a plant that looks like it belongs in a fancy hotel. The black velvet Alocasia. It's got deep, almost black leaves with silver veins. And yeah, it looks expensive. The coolest thing? These leaves aren't just dark, they feel like suede. And unlike other Alocasias, this one actually thrives in low light. It doesn't need bright sunlight. In fact, too much direct light can scorch these gorgeous leaves. Just give it a shady corner, and it'll be happy. One thing to remember, it likes humidity. A quick misting here and there, or a pebble tray underneath, can help keep those leaves looking fresh. If you want a plant that looks rare and exotic, but doesn't need a ton of light, this one's a showstopper. All right, if you want a plant that instantly makes a space feel fresh, the Boston Fern is a winner. It's been around forever, and for good reason. This thing thrives in low light and looks amazing. Look at these leaves. They're light, airy, and super good at adding texture to any room. Plus, they help clean the air, so that's a nice bonus. This plant does great in shade, but it loves humidity. If your place is kinda dry, keeping it in a bathroom or misting it now and then makes a huge difference. Watering is key. This guy hates dry soil. Keep it evenly moist, but not soggy, and you'll have a happy fern. If you want an easy, classic plant that brings the jungle vibes, even in low light, Boston Fern is the way to go. All right, if you want a plant that grows like crazy and looks effortlessly cool, English ivy is a solid pick. This thing thrives in low light and adds a nice, elegant touch to any space. Check out these leaves, dark green, kind of waxy, and they love to trail. You can hang it, let it climb, or even train it to grow along a shelf. It doesn't need a ton of sun. In fact, too much direct light can actually dry it out. Just give it a shady spot, and it'll keep growing like crazy. One thing to keep in mind, this guy loves humidity. If your air is dry, misting it every few days keeps those leaves looking fresh and healthy. Easy, low light, and grows like a champ? Yeah, English ivy is a classic for a reason. All right, last on the list, but definitely not least, the Moth Orchid. This plant looks fancy, but don't let that fool you. It's way easier to care for than people think, even in low light. These flowers? They can last for months. And while orchids usually love bright spots, this one can do just fine in lower light, especially if you give it a little indirect sun now and then. The trick is not to overthink it. Keep it somewhere with some natural light, but not blasting direct sun, and it'll keep looking this good. Watering? Less is more. Just give it a drink when the roots look silvery, about once a week. And make sure it's in a pot with good drainage. No soggy roots. If you want a low-light plant that actually blooms, the Moth Orchid is a perfect choice. And there you have it, 10 awesome houseplants that thrive in low light. Whether you're working with a shady corner or just want something easy to care for, these plants have you covered. Remember, just because a space is low light doesn't mean it can't be full of life. Pick the right plant, give it a little love, and watch it thrive. Got a favorite from the list? Or maybe you already have one of these in your home? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to hit like if this helped you out, and subscribe for more plant tips and home ideas. See you in the next one.